Hello and welcome to Unrivaled Experts, where we get the best of the best to share their insider secrets so you can get a shortcut to living a better life. I'm your host, Chris Gunkel, and joining us today, we have Dr. Ron Stotts. And Ron is the CEO of Stotts International. He's a top-level leadership expert. He's an author of 3 best-selling books. He's an international speaker and a mindfulness expert. And he's spent the last 5 decades exploring the deepest caves and the soaring heights of both personal and spiritual journeys. He is intimate with all aspects of the territory, and as a life coach and spiritual guide, he's supported thousands of others on their journeys as they've moved through their most difficult challenges and developed their greatest potential. And I could keep going, but this is a short show, and we'll run out of time if I do. Let's just say Ron has a pretty impressive resume, so make sure you listen in. Today, Ron is here to talk to us about moving past our limitations so we can achieve that life that we really desire. So Ron, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the show.
No, thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate being here.
And just because we like to keep things nice and short and get right to the nuts and bolts, we're going to jump right in. So Ron, who is it that you can help the most?
Well, the greatest impact I have seems to be with influencers and leaders who are ready to take their personal or professional life up to the next level. I'd say in general, some are proactively wanting to grow, and others are dealing with challenges that they feel are holding them back.
Okay, and what's one problem that you specialize in solving, and why is it a problem?
I would say a significant challenge that entrepreneurs and other leaders are often struggling with is the feeling that something's holding them back in their personal or professional life. And the problem is that they're typically looking outside of themselves for answers and solutions that can really only be found within and through their own personal development.
And that opens up a whole can of worms, but I think you hit the nail on the head. So what is your solution to this problem?
Well, I feel like I have the privilege of guiding leaders, entrepreneurs, change agents on a significant, personally transformative inner journey. And it's with this journey, it's within that journey that they're finally able to deeply heal old buried beliefs and limitations. And through the process, they've shifted their level of consciousness and, as they often say, become a different person, one who clearly sees their highest intention and the optimal path to achieving it. What's really great is that the process that we're using is literally neurologically rewiring and upgrading their brains. And this gives them access to what I call whole brain integrated thinking and unlimited capabilities of what I refer to as big mind. But what's important to recognize is that both their desire to grow and the feelings that something's holding them back are really just indicators that they're ready to evolve. And as you well know, to change, we must change. And to take our life up to another level, we've got to heal and raise our awareness and consciousness up to a more expanded level.
And that is incredibly interesting. I always geek out on everything that has to do with the mind. And there's so many things in life where it's so important to realize that our brains really are kind of hardwired, but we can rewire that. So that's very, very interesting that you say that. And you mentioned before that a lot of people look externally when they're trying to get past these limits and everything. So that's probably part of the answer to my next question. But when people are trying to solve this problem and get past these limits, what are some of the common mistakes that they're making?
Good question, Chris. In their frustration and efforts, I often see them kind of doubling down and using what they felt worked for them before in the past. And while it might have worked for them before, it's just not enough for the new level they want to be playing on. So I also see that they often feel like they're not enough. And that might be very subconscious or unconscious on their part. But they're not recognizing that they need to go within and access more of who they truly are and become more than enough. I would say a key question they often fail to ask when they're struggling in life, when anyone is who do I need to become to live the life that I want to be living? And with them seeing that, I then guide them into a new level of personal development and consciousness.
Now, obviously, this is a big issue for people in all walks of life, especially entrepreneurs, because it is a roller coaster. And so
Right.
we're always out trying to find the answers, and there are lots of people out there giving answers. What is some of the worst advice that you see
Uh,
or you hear others giving?
Love that. Okay. I would say the worst is ignore the past and try harder. Uh, but I also see people supporting others and looking outside of themselves for the next tool, technique, or basically shiny object that's just a quick fix for the symptoms of the problem. And while it might be a quick fix, it doesn't support you in recognizing and resolving the deeper cause of the problem. So it just continues to repeatedly rise up again and again in your life. A third one is I see people telling others and people saying and suggesting they should to act as if. And this really just keeps them stuck and feeling like an imposter rather than actually evolving and becoming the person who can easily handle the challenge.
That third one really hits home. That is one that you see quite a bit and hear quite a bit. Act as if. So very, very interesting. I love that you touched on that. And can you share an example of a client or somebody who you've helped move past these limitations? Where did they start from? Where did they end up? And how did that process look?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess I would start with Dirk. He came to me during kind of the early COVID shutdown, and he was really afraid his entire empire was crumbling. He was hemorrhaging more money than most of us make in a year and having to lay off hundreds of employees. And of course, with all that stress, he was also losing the love of his life. And he was a tough cookie, to be honest with you. I was able to guide Dirk, though, into a deeper understanding and experience that it was really only through his own personal development and growth that his organizations, as well as his relationship, could grow. And he jumped in, and with his new sense of self and empowered perspective, he more than doubled the value of his billion-dollar organizations within a year. And I'm also happy to say the love of his life became his wife. Um, Another client, Irene, healing for her, healing her past ultimately allowed her to identify and live her highest purpose. And it's fun to watch because now instead of suffering in her depressing job as an attorney, she's quite literally transforming the consciousness of the entire legal industry. There's a lot of depression, suicide, drug use, and so all of that is being resolved through her work. And a third example, if I may, would be Janet, who came to me knowing that she was really at the effect of an extremely difficult childhood, and but she was also a very successful businesswoman. And Janet, she felt like she was being called to do something more with her life, but she just didn't know what it was. But as we explored and healed her past issues and expanded the capabilities of her mind, quite literally, Janet completely transformed her life. Now I see her creating what's called a 100th woman movement, and she's living her life in just absolute abundance and totally on purpose. It's just great to watch.
Those are such powerful stories. Thank you for sharing them with us. It's it really goes to show, like you said, if you dig in and get to the root of the problem, the real cause of it, and can move past that. I mean, you're seeing radical changes in these people's lives, and so that's amazing. Thank you for sharing those.
Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense to me, whether I see it working so well. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So what's one thing that our audience can do in the next 48 hours or so to get on the path to success? Just get going down the right path.
Well, I would keep it really simple, and I'll really share something that they could use for the rest of their life. And it's to suggest that they start by taking a step back and letting themselves breathe. And as they breathe, from a place of curiosity, bring to mind a particular question or intention or whatever you're dealing with in your life. Next, breathe and check in viscerally as to what you're emotionally feeling. And from that more present, mindful place, Evaluate what's actually going on. And from there, identify what your best next step is. And then just breathe and proceed, taking that best next step towards your highest intention.
Thank you very much for sharing that. It sounds like one of the keys here is you mentioned breathe, just kind of stepping back, calming, get centered, and then move forward from there. Is that right?
It really is. When I had centers in Switzerland, oftentimes they would say during a workshop, if you don't understand what Ron said, he probably said breathe. So it's a key to the deeper work and to be able to go deeper within yourself.
Absolutely. Harder and harder to do in our world now, but even more important than to remember.
Exactly.
Now,
yeah.
You do some incredibly important, incredibly valuable things with your clients. Again, helping them to radically transform their lives, radically transform their careers. And I'm sure people want to know more about how to work with you, how to learn more from you. And I understand you do have a resource that you could give the audience as well. So how do people learn more about you? Where can we go to find you?
I think I'd invite everybody to go to the website at ronstotts.com. That's RONSTOTTS.com. And right on the homepage, you can download 9 insightful questions that every entrepreneur should ask. And the truth is, they're 9 insightful questions for anybody. And these questions are going to give you clarity around what your best next step is, both in your personal and professional life. So, yeah.
I appreciate it. And everybody, I will make sure I put that link on the website so that way you can learn more about Ron and his work and how you can work with him. Ron, thank you again so much for being here with us today and sharing your knowledge.
Chris, I completely appreciate the opportunity to be a guest on Unrivaled Experts and wish all of you out there the very, very best. Enjoy the journey.
Thanks for being here and checking out our latest amazing guest. Be sure to head over to unrivaledexperts.com to learn from more incredible experts so you can get a shortcut to living your best life.